Okay, it's being recorded. Now, if I can figure out how to get to my program. Okay, here it is. Record. It's being recorded. This is the Habitat Health Lifestyle Hutchinson Zoom meeting that we've been doing once a week for 8, 9, 10 years. And we'll talk about food additives today. And the reason you need food additives is several reasons, but mainly to preserve food because microbes and oxidation both make food go bad. Now here's some of the different things that they use. The top ones are vinegar, sugar, and salt. The vinegar is acidic, and it makes an enzyme that stretches out, and then that prevents oxidation to get to the food. So that's how it protects it. You add sugar or salt to different foods, and that helps protect them too, because what they do, sugar and salt both absorb moisture, and that makes it so that the microbes don't have anything to live on. Other things that you do with preservatives is flavoring, thickening, coloring agents, and antioxidants and stabilizers. Those are some of the other things that we use food additives for. Now, here's a little short video on food additives.
Ever wonder what's in our food? More than what we see. Years ago, most people knew where their food came from and what was in it. As global markets have expanded, we have more options than ever, and we know less about the food we eat. More food is coming from more places, each with its own story before it arrives at our borders and on our plates. Along the way, from the farm to our forks, chemicals are added to preserve and package our food, and to make it look and taste better. Some are familiar, like sugar and salt. Many are not. Many decisions about what goes into our food are made without the public's knowledge. Sometimes even the Food and Drug Administration is left in the dark when it comes to knowing what chemicals end up on our plate. Back in the 1950s, Congress passed a law intended to ensure that the chemicals in our food are safe. This represented great progress for our health in 1958. Congress and the FDA didn't anticipate how advances in science and technology would transform our food. Around the time the bill passed, there were an estimated 800 additives. Within a decade, that number swelled to over 3,000. Today, an estimated 10,000 chemicals can make their way into our food, many without any FDA review for safety. The Food Additives Amendment allows common food ingredients to bypass FDA review as long as they are generally recognized as safe. This may have made sense back in 1958 when common ingredients were things like oil and vinegar. More than a half century later, this loophole has swallowed up the law, allowing uncommon chemicals to be added to food without FDA oversight. Today, the FDA allows food companies to determine on their own that an additive is safe and decide to use it without any input from the agency or the public. In fact, the FDA has never reviewed the safety of more than 3,000 chemicals. Often, the FDA isn't even notified that a company has decided to include a chemical in its food. An estimated 1,000 chemicals are known only to the companies that use them. The FDA and food manufacturers have distorted the forewords in the law to allow manufacturers to determine on their own that they can use a chemical in our food without us or the FDA ever knowing. On top of all that, we can't even rely on ingredients lists to help us fully understand what we're eating. More than 5,000 substances aren't required to be included there. If the FDA doesn't even know what's in our food, how can we? So, do you really know what's in your food? We need to know what's in our food is safe. Tell your grocery store and favorite brands to sell only products with ingredients that the FDA has found are safe. And ask the FDA and Congress to close the loophole, because your health matters. For more information, visit www.nrdc.org/food.
Okie dokie, there it is. Okay, now going back to this one, I mentioned how the vinegar works and how the salt and sugar work, and to preserve foods. Now, the thing you want to keep in mind is that too much salt, too much sugar could lead to heart disease and cardiovascular disease and that type of thing. Now here's an example of what they do. Now this is a homemade dressing. It has olive oil and vinegar, and then a little bit of mustard and mustard seeds, and for flavoring. And they, when you first make it, it looks just like this, but after it's set for a while, it starts separating the seeds out, like on the right over here. While one that you bought from the store already has the emulsifiers in it, and it stays the same way. And we always talk about Walden Farms. Walden Farms, one of the dressings that I used to use, the texture wasn't right. It didn't have enough thickening in it, and so it was real like runny. But they fixed that since then, so they keep improving the Walden Farms. It's good. Now this next picture shows what they do when they take E415. Now that's for you people that might not know. That's xanthan, Xanthan, and it comes out as a little powder when they process it. And they just took a little pinch and put in that one on the right there and mixed it in, and it come out and it'll stay thick just like the one that you buy from the store. So it's ought to be healthy for you because there's not much anything in there that has too many calories. Now, why have they been used? Well, some of the things that we mentioned here is for color, purity, mouthfeel, and make sure it tastes right. The texture is like mouthfeel. Emulsifiers prevent the liquids from separating, and that's important. Improve the or preserve the nutrient value, maintain wholesomeness of foods, and control the acid-base balance of foods. And another thing they put in them is things to make the dough rise, and then provide color and enhance the flavor of some of the things they do, that they add. Now, artificial sweeteners is another complete subject, and here's what to avoid. Anything that has aspartame in it, and that's mostly pop, but it's in practically everything that they have. Here's some of the different names for aspartame. That's Equal, Nanotame, NutraSweet, and Nutrinova, Saccharin, Splenda, Sorbitol, and sucralose, Twin Sweet, Sweet and Low. All these things contain aspartame. And when I found this out, whenever, I don't know, however many years ago it was, I researched on this program. I quit using Splenda and went to, I'm going to come up with it here in a minute.
Stevia.
Okay. Stevia, yeah, stevia. That's a good one. It's a plant extract. Now another thing you don't want to use is agave nectar. Sounds good, but it has 70 to 90% fructose, so it's really heavy on the fructose side of it. Sucralose or Splenda tastes like sugar, but they treat it with chlorine, and when they get done, they have a molecular structure that's almost like DDT. Don't want anything like that. And also, it passes through your body. Your body doesn't use it, but so it just passes through the body into the food chain. Sugar is half glucose, half fructose. And 100 years ago, people were doing about 1 tablespoon of sugar a day equivalent. Now it's up to seven tablespoons, and that's about 150 pounds a year, where we used to do 5 pounds. And sugar is hidden in everything, so you really need to become a what we call a nutritional label ninja. High fructose corn syrup. Today, Americans ingest at least 200 calories a day of high fructose corn syrup, and mainly because it's hid. And it's banned in use in organic foods, because organic means organic. It don't mean go add something to it. Now, the interesting thing here, you all recognize this. This is when you get on the program and you immediately cut your calories down to 800 to 1200 until you lose the weight, and then you start adding back. The difference between your maintenance level over here and the amount that you were eating when you gained weight is only about 200 calories. So if you get rid of that high fructose corn syrup in the average person's diet, that's that 200 calories, so make it easy to maintain. High fructose corn syrup, avoid them by becoming like I said, a nutritional label ninja. Read them. And some of the alternatives is stevia. It's a plant-based, 0 calories. Does not work with bacon, however, but Truvia works a little bit better for bacon is concerned. Sugar alcohols. This is fermented from corn or cane sugar. It's more calories than stevia, and it may cause GI distress, intestinal distress. If you've ever eaten some candies that say sugar-free, and later on your stomach is rumbling and grumbling, you don't know why, because that's what it does. And it's almost immediately. You want to watch it because it is toxic for dogs. They say that raw local honey is good for you. It has cancer-defending antioxidants in it. It may leave some allergy symptoms because it kind of gives you some of the things that are local, and that helps you not have allergies as bad as what they're thinking. Look for raw, minimally processed honey, and honey also is low on the glycemic index. So that's something you can use instead of the artificial sweeteners. Blackstrap molasses. What they do here is sugar cane's refined into white table sugar, and then they keep refining. They boil it off 3 times. First time they boil it off, they get light molasses. Next time they boil it off, they get a dark molasses. The third time they get blackstrap molasses. And 1 tablespoon of blackstrap molasses provides more iron and fewer calories in fat than a 3-ounce serving of red meat. Well, that's pretty interesting. 1 tablespoon, that's amazing. That's not recommended for people with diabetes, however. Real maple syrup. And of course, that's where they boil it down from the sap that comes out of maple trees. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Couldn't remember if that was the right tree or not. Lower in calories than honey. Has more minerals than honey. May even ward off cancer and heart disease. And it fights enzymes that lead to type 2 diabetes. So real maple syrup is a pretty good thing put in place of artificial sweeteners. So what does all this mean? That means that Optavia fuelings are just perfect because they have no artificial colors, sweeteners, flavors, 4 different things that they have in there that they don't have artificial. They do have probiotics in there for improved gut health, and they have vitamin D in there. So that's some of the good things. So those feelings are really good as far as a balanced diet is concerned. Now here's a picture that somebody has sent to me. They want me to paint that for them, so that'll be my next painting project. I think I can do that.
We think so too, Fred.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now. And this has been the Habits of Health Lifestyle Zoom that we have every Tuesday at 5. And thank you for showing up.